Alex Carter sat in his corner office on the 42nd floor, staring at the golden invitation that had been mocking him for 3 days straight. The elegant script read, Metropolitan Children's Foundation Annual Gala, and right below it the words that made his stomach twist, honoring Victoria Ashford, Philanthropist of the Year. Victoria. His ex-fiancée, the woman who had walked out of his life 18 months ago, taking his best friend and business partner with her. Now she was marrying that same best friend, and the whole city would be watching tomorrow night as she accepted her award looking absolutely perfect. As always. Alex loosened his tie and walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. As the 32-year-old CEO of Technova Industries, he had everything most people dreamed of. Money, success, a company worth millions, and a penthouse apartment that magazines wanted to feature. But tomorrow night, he would walk into that ballroom alone and everyone would whisper about how Victoria had moved on while he was still single. The thought made him feel sick. He could already picture the pitying looks, the awkward conversations, and worst of all, Victoria's triumphant smile when she saw him sitting alone at his table. No way, Alex muttered to himself. I'm not giving her that satisfaction. He grabbed his jacket and headed for the elevator. He needed coffee and time to think. Maybe he could skip the whole thing, claim he was sick or had an emergency business trip, but backing down felt even worse than showing up alone. 20 minutes later, Alex found himself standing outside Joe's Corner Cafe, a small place tucked between a bookstore and a dry cleaner. It wasn't the kind of place he usually went to. His assistant typically brought him coffee from the fancy place in his building lobby. But today, he needed to be somewhere normal, somewhere he could think clearly. The bell above the door chimed as he entered. The cafe was cozy with mismatched furniture and local artwork covering the walls. The smell of fresh coffee and baked goods filled the air. Only a few people sat scattered around, typing on laptops or reading books. Alex ordered a black coffee and was about to leave when he noticed a young woman sitting alone at a corner table. She had her head buried in her hands and her shoulders were shaking slightly. In front of her lay a crumpled letter and what looked like rejection papers from an art gallery. The woman had curly brown hair that looked like she'd been running her fingers through it, and she wore a paint-splattered apron over faded jeans. Her sneakers had seen better days and her bag looked like it was holding together with hope and duct tape. Something about her obvious distress made Alex pause. Maybe it was because he recognized the feeling of rejection. Or maybe it was because she looked so different from everyone in his usual world of designer suits and fake smiles. As he watched, she lifted her head and wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. That's when Alex got a good look at her face. She was probably in her late 20s, with warm brown eyes that were currently red from crying. And despite her obvious upset, there was something striking about her. Not magazine pretty like Victoria, but real and honest. An idea suddenly popped into Alex's head. It was crazy, completely insane, but desperate times called for desperate measures. He walked over to her table, his heart pounding. Excuse me, I'm really sorry to bother you, but are you okay? The woman looked up at him with surprise, quickly wiping her face again. Oh, yes. Sorry, I'm fine. Just having a rough day. Alex glanced at the rejection letter on the table. Art gallery? She nodded, managing a weak smile. Third one this month. Apparently my work doesn't fit their current aesthetic vision, which is fancy talk for not good enough. I doubt that's true, Alex said, surprising himself with his honesty. Sometimes the problem isn't the work, it's the people judging it. She looked at him curiously, probably wondering why a stranger in an expensive suit was trying to comfort her. Thanks, but you don't have to be nice. I'm Maya, by the way. Alex, he replied, then took a deep breath. Maya, I know this is going to sound absolutely crazy, but I have a very strange request. Maya raised an eyebrow. Okay, now I'm curious. Alex sat down across from her, his hands fidgeting with his coffee cup. I need a date for tomorrow night. Not a real date, just someone to pretend to be my girlfriend for one evening at a very fancy charity gala. Maya stared at him like he'd grown a second head. Are you serious right now? Completely serious. Look, I know how this sounds, but I'm desperate. My ex-fiancée is being honored at this event, and she left me for my former best friend. The entire city's elite will be there, and if I show up alone, it's going to be humiliating. Everyone will think I can't move on. So you want to hire a fake girlfriend? Maya asked, her voice a mix of disbelief and curiosity. Yes, exactly. I'll pay you $5,000 for one evening. All you have to do is pretend we're dating, smile, make small talk, and help me save face in front of about 300 people. Maya's eyes widened at the mention of money. $5,000? Alex nodded, watching her expression change from skepticism to something that looked like hope. I know it's a lot to ask from a complete stranger, but I'm running out of options and running out of time. Maya bit her lip, clearly thinking hard. Why me? Why not hire an actual escort or ask someone you know? Because everyone I know will be at this event and they'd see right through a professional. You're real, you're genuine, and honestly, you seem like someone who could use the money. Plus, there's something about you that seems trustworthy. This is insane, Maya said, shaking her head. I don't know anything about your world. I can barely afford coffee, let alone fancy gala dresses and whatever else comes with pretending to be someone's girlfriend. I'll take care of everything. The dress, shoes, hair, makeup, whatever you need. Consider it part of the deal. Maya was quiet for a long moment, staring at the rejection letter in front of her. My grandmother needs surgery, she said quietly. I've been trying to save up, but between rent and her medications, I'm barely keeping my head above water. $5,000 would cover her medical bills and keep me from getting evicted. Alex felt a pang of guilt for taking advantage of her desperate situation, but he pushed it aside. They both needed something from each other. So you'll do it? He asked. Maya looked up at him, and for the first time since he'd sat down, she smiled. It wasn't a big smile, but it was real. I have conditions. Name them. First, no physical contact beyond holding hands or maybe an arm around the waist. This is strictly professional. Agreed. Second, you pay me half up front. If this is some kind of scam, I'm not getting completely screwed over. Fair enough. Third, we need to practice. If we're going to convince people we're dating, we need to know each other's stories. When did we meet? How long have we been together? What do I do for work? Basic stuff that couples would know about each other. Alex nodded, impressed by her practical thinking. Those are all reasonable requests. Anything else? Yeah, Maya said, her expression becoming more serious. If at any point during this evening I feel uncomfortable or unsafe, I'm out. No questions, no arguments, and I still keep whatever money you've already paid me. Of course. Maya, I want to be clear about something. I'm not looking for anything beyond tomorrow night. This isn't some romantic comedy where we fall in love. I need help saving face, you need money for your grandmother. It's a business transaction. Maya laughed for the first time since he'd sat down. Trust me, I'm not looking for love either, especially not with someone who hires strangers to pretend to date him. Alex pulled out his phone and opened his banking app. I'm transferring $2,500 to your account right now. What's your information? As Maya gave him her details, Alex couldn't help but notice her hands were shaking slightly. Whether from nerves or excitement, he wasn't sure. There, he said, hitting send. Check your account. Maya pulled out her cracked phone and opened her banking app. Her eyes widened when she saw the deposit. Oh my God, it's really there. This is really happening, Alex said, extending his hand across the table. Partners? Maya shook his hand, her grip firm despite her obvious nerves. Partners. But Alex, yeah, tomorrow night, I'm going to be the best fake girlfriend you've ever had. Neither of them realized that by tomorrow night the word fake would become the most complicated part of their entire arrangement. The next morning, Maya stood outside Bella's boutique on Fifth Avenue, clutching Alex's black credit card like it might disappear at any moment. The storefront looked like something from a movie, with its gleaming windows displaying dresses that probably cost more than her yearly rent. She took a deep breath and pushed through the glass doors. The moment Maya stepped inside, she felt completely out of place. The boutique smelled expensive, like vanilla and some flowers she couldn't identify. Everything was white marble and gold accents, and the few dresses on display looked more like works of art than actual clothes. A woman with perfectly styled blonde hair and a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes approached her. Can I help you? The sales associate asked, her tone suggesting she doubted Maya belonged there. I need a dress for a charity gala tonight, Maya said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. The woman's eyes swept over Maya's worn jeans and paint-stained sweater. I see, and what's your budget? Maya held up Alex's credit card. Money isn't an issue. The sales associate's entire demeanor changed in an instant. Oh, wonderful. I'm Christine, and I'll be taking excellent care of you today. Let's find you something absolutely stunning. For the next hour, Christine pulled dress after dress from the racks, Maya tried on everything from sparkly silver numbers that made her look like a disco ball to flowing red gowns that seemed better suited for a movie premiere. Nothing felt right. They were all beautiful, but they didn't feel like her. Maybe something a little less flashy, Maya suggested after rejecting a bright pink dress covered in sequins. Christine looked puzzled. But darling, it's a gala. You want to make a statement? Maya wandered over to a quieter section of the store and found herself drawn to a midnight blue dress hanging almost hidden behind several flashier options. It was elegant but simple, with clean lines and a subtle shimmer that caught the light when she moved it. The fabric felt like liquid silk in her hands. What about this one? Maya asked. Christine looked skeptical. It's quite understated. Are you sure you want something so quiet? Can I try it on? The moment Maya slipped into the dress, she knew it was perfect. It hugged her curves in all the right places without being too tight, and the color brought out her eyes in a way she'd never noticed before. When she looked in the mirror, she didn't see someone playing dress-up. She saw herself, just a more polished version. Oh my, Christine said when Maya stepped out of the dressing room. That's actually quite striking. Maya nodded, running her hands over the smooth fabric. This is the one. After selecting shoes that she could actually walk in and a small clutch purse, Maya left the boutique with shopping bags worth more than her car. Her next stop was the salon Alex had recommended, a place called Serenity Spa that looked like it, catered to people who had ladies who lunch as an actual job description. The staff at the salon treated Maya like royalty from the moment she mentioned Alex's name. She was whisked away for what they called the full treatment, which apparently included a facial, manicure, and hairstyling that took over 3 hours. Maya had always worn her curly hair wild and free, but the stylist, an energetic woman named Chloe, convinced her to try something more formal. We're going to tame these gorgeous curls, Chloe announced, but in a way that still looks like you. As Chloe worked, Maya found herself relaxing for the first time in months. When was the last time someone had pampered her like this? When was the last time she'd done anything nice for herself instead of just surviving day to day? The makeup artist, a quiet man named David, kept the look natural but polished. You have beautiful features, he told her as he worked. We just want to enhance what you already have, not cover it up. When they finally turned her around to face the mirror, Maya gasped. The woman staring back at her looked sophisticated and confident. Her curls were swept into an elegant updo with a few soft pieces framing her face, and her makeup made her eyes look bigger and her skin glow. She looked like someone who belonged at fancy parties. Holy cow, Maya whispered. You look absolutely gorgeous, Chloe said, beaming with pride. Your boyfriend is going to fall over when he sees you. Maya almost corrected her, then remembered that as of tonight, Alex was her boyfriend. At least fake boyfriend. The thought made her stomach flutter with nerves. By the time Maya got home to her small studio apartment, she had just enough time to shower off the spa treatments and get ready. As she slipped back into the blue dress, she caught sight of herself in her bathroom mirror. Even in the harsh fluorescent lighting of her tiny bathroom, she looked different. More confident somehow. Her phone buzzed with a text from Alex. Picking you up at 6, ready to practice our story? Maya quickly typed back, as ready as I'll ever be. Alex arrived exactly at 6, looking impossibly handsome in a perfectly fitted black tuxedo. When Maya opened her apartment door, his mouth fell open slightly. Wow, he said, staring at her like he'd never seen her before. You look incredible. Maya felt heat rise in her cheeks. Thanks. You clean up pretty well yourself. They stood there for a moment, just looking at each other, before Alex seemed to remember why he was there. Right, we should go over our story on the way to the hotel. In the back of Alex's car, they worked out the details of their fake relationship. They'd been dating for 6 months, they decided. They met at a coffee shop, which was technically true. Maya was an artist, which was also true, and Alex had been immediately drawn to her creativity and passion. What's my favorite thing about you? Maya asked, making notes on her phone. Alex thought for a moment. My sense of humor? I apparently make you laugh even when you're having a bad day. Okay, and what's your favorite thing about me? Your honesty. You're not afraid to call me out when I'm being ridiculous, but you do it in a way that makes me want to be better. Maya looked up from her phone, surprised by the sincerity in his voice. That's actually really sweet. Are you sure you're making this up? Alex shifted uncomfortably. It's just what I think someone would like about you. You seem like the type of person who doesn't put up with nonsense. You're right about that, Maya said with a laugh. My grandmother always taught me to speak my mind, even when it gets me in trouble. Tell me about your grandmother, Alex said, and Maya was surprised to realize he seemed genuinely interested. Maya found herself talking about her grandmother's garden, how she'd taught Maya to see beauty in everyday things, and how that had inspired her art. Alex listened intently, asking questions and seeming genuinely engaged in her stories. What about you? Maya asked. What made you want to start your own company? Alex told her about his dream of creating technology that could actually help people, not just make money. He talked about the early days when he and his former business partner worked 18-hour days in a tiny office, believing they could change the world. What happened with your business partner? Maya asked gently. Alex's expression darkened. Jake, we were best friends since college. I trusted him completely, maybe too much. When Victoria and I got engaged, Jake was going to be my best man. Then one day I came home early from a business trip and found them together. Oh, Alex, Maya said softly. That's awful. The worst part wasn't just losing Victoria. It was losing my best friend, too. And then Jake tried to push me out of my own company. Said I was too emotional to make good business decisions. We ended up in a legal battle that lasted months. Maya reached over and squeezed his hand without thinking. I'm sorry. That must have been incredibly painful. Alex looked down at their joined hands, surprised by the gesture. Thanks, it was. I guess that's why tomorrow night feels so important. I need to show everyone that I've moved on, that I'm doing fine without them. Well, Maya said, squeezing his hand once more before letting go. Tomorrow night, you're going to have the most supportive girlfriend in the room, even if she's just pretending. Alex smiled, and for a moment the sadness in his eyes lifted. I have a feeling you're going to be amazing at this. As their car pulled up to Maya's building, both of them felt something shifting between them. What had started as a simple business transaction was beginning to feel like something more complicated. But neither of them was ready to admit it yet. The Grand Metropolitan Hotel looked like something out of a fairy tale as their car pulled up to the entrance. Golden light spilled from every window, and a red carpet stretched from the street to the hotel's massive glass doors. Photographers lined both sides, their cameras flashing as elegantly dressed guests made their way inside. Maya's stomach did a complete flip. Oh my God, Alex, look at this place. I don't think I can do this. Alex turned to her, his own nerves showing despite his attempt to look calm. Hey, look at me. You've got this. You look absolutely stunning, and you're smart and funny and real. That's exactly what I need tonight. But what if I say the wrong thing? What if someone asks me about wine or stocks or whatever rich people talk about? Then you be yourself. Trust me, most of these people are more boring than you think. They'll be impressed by anyone who has an actual personality. Maya took a deep breath and stepped out of the car, accepting Alex's offered arm. The moment her feet hit the red carpet, she forced herself to stand taller and smile. She could do this. She had to do this. The hotel lobby was even more impressive than the outside. Crystal chandeliers hung from a ceiling that seemed impossibly high, and marble columns stretched up like something from a Roman palace. Guests in designer gowns and perfectly tailored tuxedos mingled around cocktail tables, their laughter and conversation creating a sophisticated buzz. Alex Carter, there you are, a woman's voice cut through the crowd, and Maya felt Alex's arm tense under her hand. Maya looked up to see a woman approaching them, and immediately understood why Alex had been so worried about tonight. The woman was absolutely stunning in the way that only money could buy. Her blonde hair was perfectly styled, her white designer gown probably cost more than Maya's car, and diamonds sparkled at her throat and wrists. Everything about her screamed perfection, from her flawless makeup to her confident smile. Victoria, Alex said, his voice carefully neutral. You look lovely. Thank you, darling. Congratulations on your award tonight, by the way. Victoria's eyes swept over Maya with barely concealed curiosity. And who is this gorgeous creature? Victoria, I'd like you to meet Maya. Maya, this is Victoria Ashford. Maya extended her hand with a genuine smile. It's so nice to meet you, Victoria. Alex has told me about your work with the Children's Foundation. What you're doing is really amazing. Victoria looked slightly surprised by Maya's warmth. Oh, thank you. That's very kind. And what do you do, Maya? I'm an artist. Mostly paintings, but I dabble in sculpture too. How interesting, Victoria said. though her tone suggested she found it anything but interesting. "And where did you two meet?" "Actually, we met at a coffee shop," Maya said, launching into the story she and Alex had practiced. "I was having the worst day, and Alex just walked up and started talking to me. I thought he was crazy at first, but he made me laugh when I really needed it." Alex squeezed her hand gently, and Maya felt a little thrill at how natural they looked together. "How romantic," Victoria said, her smile becoming slightly strained. "Jake, come meet Alex's friend." A tall man with dark hair and an expensive suit approached, and Maya immediately disliked him. There was something about his smile that seemed fake, like he was always calculating his next move. "Alex, good to see you," Jake said, though his tone suggested otherwise. "Business has been good, I hope." "Very good, thanks," Alex replied coolly. "Jake Williams, Maya Rodriguez." "Maya? Jake is my former business partner." The tension between the two men was thick enough to cut with a knife. Maya could see the hurt in Alex's eyes, even though he was trying to hide it. "Former partners," Jake said with a laugh that didn't sound genuine. "We had different visions for the company's future. I'm sure you understand." "Actually, I don't," Maya said, her voice pleasant but firm. "In my experience, the best partnerships are built on trust and mutual respect. When those are missing, it's usually better to part ways before anyone gets hurt." Jake's smile faltered slightly, and Victoria's eyebrows rose. Alex looked at Maya with surprise and something that might have been gratitude. "How insightful," Victoria said, her voice a little cooler than before. "Well, we should probably mingle. There are so many people to see tonight." As Victoria and Jake moved away, Alex leaned down to whisper in Maya's ear. "That was perfect. Did you see the look on Jake's face?" Maya grinned. "I couldn't help myself. He seems like a snake." For the next hour, Maya found herself genuinely enjoying the evening. She talked with a prominent art collector who was fascinated by her description of painting with found materials, charmed a group of tech entrepreneurs with her questions about sustainable business practices, and even managed to make the mayor's notoriously difficult wife smile with a funny story about her grandmother's attempts to teach her proper table manners. "You're a natural at this," Alex murmured as they moved from group to group. "Everyone loves you." "They're not as intimidating as I thought they'd be," Maya admitted. "Most of them just want someone to actually listen to them." The evening was going better than either of them had dared to hope when the evening's host stepped up to the microphone on the small stage at one end of the ballroom. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special treat for you tonight. Our featured artist, Roberto Martinez, was going to create a live painting inspired by our foundation's mission. Unfortunately, Roberto has fallen ill and cannot be with us tonight." A disappointed murmur went through the crowd. Maya felt bad for the artist, knowing how important these kinds of opportunities could be. "However," the host continued, "we don't want to disappoint you completely. If there are any artists in the audience who would be willing to step in, we have supplies set up and ready to go." Maya felt her heart start racing. This was exactly the kind of opportunity she'd been dreaming of. But in front of all these people, what if she messed up? What if her work wasn't good enough for this crowd? "Maya," Alex said quietly, "this is your chance." "I can't. What if I'm terrible? What if everyone hates it? What if you're amazing? What if this changes everything for you?" Maya looked around the ballroom at all the elegant, sophisticated people. Then she thought about her grandmother, about all the rejections she'd received, about all the times she'd been told she wasn't good enough. Before she could lose her nerve, Maya raised her hand. "I'll do it." The host's face lit up. "Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a volunteer. Please come up here and tell us your name." Maya's legs felt shaky as she walked to the stage, but Alex's encouraging smile from the crowd gave her strength. She took the microphone with hands that barely trembled. "Hi, I'm Maya Rodriguez. I'm an artist here in the city, and I'm honored to have the chance to create something for such an important cause." She moved to the easel that had been set up with paints and brushes. Looking out at the crowd, Maya felt a familiar calm settle over her. This was what she was meant to do. This was who she was. "I want to paint something that represents hope," Maya said, her voice growing stronger, "because that's what this foundation gives to children who need it most." Maya began to paint, her hands moving with confident strokes across the canvas. As she worked, she found herself talking to the crowd, explaining her choices, sharing stories about how art had helped her through difficult times. The ballroom grew quiet except for her voice and the soft sound of brush against canvas. What emerged was beautiful and powerful. Abstract but emotional, the painting showed darkness giving way to light, despair transforming into hope. The colors seemed to glow under the stage lights, and when Maya stepped back to show the finished piece, the crowd erupted in applause. "That's incredible," someone called out. "How much for the painting?" "Actually," the host said, stepping back to the microphone, "let's auction it right now. All proceeds go directly to the Children's Foundation." The bidding started at $500 and quickly escalated. Maya watched in amazement as the price climbed higher and higher. When the gavel finally came down, her painting had sold for $8,000. The crowd's applause was thunderous. Maya felt tears pricking her eyes as she looked out at all these people who had been strangers an hour ago and were now cheering for her work. As she made her way back to Alex through the congratulating crowd, Maya caught sight of Victoria's face. The other woman's perfect smile had slipped, and for just a moment, Maya saw something that looked like jealousy flash in her eyes. Alex pulled Maya into his arms the moment she reached him, spinning her around with joy. "You were incredible up there. I can't believe you just did that." "Neither can I." Maya laughed, feeling giddy with adrenaline and success. "Did that really just happen?" "It really did. And Maya, I don't think anyone in this room will forget you anytime soon." Looking around at the faces still turned their way, Maya realized Alex was probably right. Tonight had changed something, not just for their fake relationship, but for her entire future. She just wasn't sure yet what that meant. The energy in the ballroom had completely shifted after Maya's impromptu art demonstration. What started as polite charity gala conversation had transformed into genuine excitement, and Maya found herself at the center of it all. As she and Alex tried to make their way back to their table, people kept stopping them every few steps. "That was absolutely magnificent," said a distinguished older man with silver hair and kind eyes. "I'm Robert Chen. I own 3 galleries downtown."
"Do you have a card?"
Maya felt her cheeks flush. "I'm sorry, I don't actually have business cards yet." "No matter," Robert said, pulling out his phone. "Give me your number. I'd love to discuss representing your work." As Maya shared her contact information, she noticed Alex watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Pride, maybe? Or was it something else? "Maya, there you are." A woman's voice interrupted her thoughts. Maya turned to see an elegant lady in her 70s approaching with a warm smile. She had sharp, intelligent eyes and carried herself with the kind of confidence that came from decades of success. "I'm Helen Whitmore," the woman said, extending her hand. "I chair the board of this foundation, and I also happen to own Whitmore Gallery on Park Avenue." Maya's eyes widened. Even she had heard of Whitmore Gallery. It was one of the most prestigious art spaces in the city. "Mrs. Whitmore, it's an honor to meet you," Maya said, shaking her hand. "The honor is mine, dear. I've been watching your career through the underground art scene for months now. Your piece at the Warehouse Show in Brooklyn last spring was extraordinary." Maya's mouth fell open. "You were there?" Helen laughed, a rich, delighted sound. "Oh yes, I make it my business to know what's happening in the real art world, not just the stuffy gallery circuit. Your work has depth and emotion that most artists twice your age haven't achieved." "I can't believe you know my work," Maya said, still stunned. "Not only do I know it, but I want to offer you something. How would you feel about a solo exhibition at my gallery? 6 months from now, we could showcase 15 to 20 pieces. It would be a proper launch for your career." Maya felt like the floor had dropped out from under her. A solo show at Whitmore Gallery? It was beyond anything she'd ever dreamed possible. I don't know what to say," Maya stammered. "Say yes," Alex whispered beside her, grinning widely. "Yes," Maya said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, absolutely yes." Helen beamed and pulled out an elegant business card. "Call me Monday morning. We have so much to discuss." "And Maya, yes? I'd also like to commission you for a permanent piece in the children's wing of Mercy General Hospital. The foundation is renovating the space, and your work tonight shows me you understand exactly what those children need to see. Hope transforming into something beautiful." As Helen walked away, Maya stood frozen, staring at the business card in her hand. "Maya," Alex said softly, "are you okay?" "I think I'm having an out-of-body experience," Maya said, laughing shakily. "Did that really just happen?" Before Alex could answer, another voice cut through the crowd nearby. It was Jake, and his tone was loud enough that several people turned to listen. "I mean, it's sweet and all," Jake was saying to a small group. "But let's be realistic here. Alex has always had a thing for charity cases. Remember that time in college when he tried to help that homeless guy? Some people just can't resist playing savior. Maya felt her stomach drop. The joy from Helen's offer evaporated instantly, replaced by a cold nod of humiliation. Is that how people saw her? As Alex's latest charity project? But before she could react, something unexpected happened. A woman Maya had been talking to earlier stepped forward, her voice sharp with disapproval. "Excuse me," the woman said to Jake, "but that's incredibly rude. Maya just created something beautiful and raised $8,000 for sick children. What exactly have you contributed tonight besides nasty comments?" "Dr. Patterson is right," added the art collector Maya had spoken with earlier. "Young woman showed more class and talent in 10 minutes than most people manage in a lifetime. Jealousy isn't attractive on anyone." Jake's face flushed red. But before he could respond, Victoria appeared at his side, her smile tight and forced. "Jake, darling, perhaps we should check on our table arrangements," Victoria said, clearly trying to get him away before he made things worse. But Jake was either too drunk or too angry to take the hint. "Come on, Victoria. We all know what this is." Alex gets dumped, his ego gets bruised, so he finds some pretty little artist to make himself feel better. It's textbook rebound behavior. The area around them had gone quiet, with people pretending not to listen while hanging on every word. Maya felt mortified, but Alex stepped forward, his voice calm but dangerously controlled. "Jake, I think you've said enough." "Have I? Because I remember a time when you had actual standards, when you dated women who could hold a conversation about something other than finger paints and feelings." The insult hit Maya like a physical blow. All her earlier confidence crumbled, and she felt like the fraud she'd been afraid she was. A struggling artist in a borrowed dress, pretending to belong in a world where she'd never fit. But then something inside Maya snapped. She'd spent too many years letting other people make her feel small, and she wasn't about to start again now. "You're absolutely right." "Jake," Maya said, her voice carrying clearly through the suddenly quiet space, "I can't discuss hedge funds or stock portfolios. I don't know the difference between a Bordeaux and a Burgundy. But you know what I can do?" She stepped closer to Jake, her eyes blazing. "I can create something that moves people to tears. I can take pain and transform it into beauty. I can look at a blank canvas and see infinite possibilities. And tonight I used those abilities to raise $8,000 for children who are fighting for their lives." The crowd around them had grown larger, drawn by the drama, and Maya could see nods of approval on several faces. "So yes, I paint with my feelings," Maya continued. "I believe art should mean something, should change people, should make them feel less alone in the world. If that makes me unsuitable for your social circle, then frankly I'm grateful to be excluded." The silence that followed was deafening. Then someone started clapping. It was Dr. Patterson, the woman who had defended Maya earlier. Soon others joined in until most of the crowd was applauding. Jake looked mortified, his face red with embarrassment and anger. Victoria tugged at his arm, trying to get him to leave. But the damage was already done. As the crowd began to disperse, buzzing with excited conversation about what they'd just witnessed, Maya found herself surrounded by people wanting to talk to her. Business cards appeared from every direction, along with invitations to gallery openings, art shows, and dinner parties. "Maya Rodriguez, right?" A young man with a press badge approached. "I'm Tony Rodriguez with Arts Weekly. Could I get a quote about tonight? This story is going to be huge." "I think Maya needs a moment," Alex said, stepping protectively closer to her. "Perhaps you could call her tomorrow." As they finally made it back to their table, Maya sank into her chair, overwhelmed by everything that had happened. The adrenaline from her confrontation with Jake was wearing off, leaving her feeling shaky and uncertain. "I can't believe I just did that," she said, pressing her hands to her cheeks. "I basically gave a speech in front of half of New York's elite. And they loved every word of it," Alex said, sitting beside her. "Maya, you were incredible. The way you stood up to Jake, the grace you showed, I've never seen anything like it." Maya looked at him, really looked at him, and saw something in his eyes that made her heart skip. It wasn't gratitude or relief at how well their fake relationship was going. It was something deeper, warmer, more real. "Alex," she said softly, "what are we doing here?" Before he could answer, Helen Whitmore appeared at their table again, this time with a tall man in an expensive suit. "Maya, I wanted you to meet someone else. This is James Morrison. He's a documentary filmmaker." James has been looking for an artist to feature in his next project about emerging talent. And after tonight, I think he's found his subject. As Maya shook James's hand and listened to his enthusiastic pitch about featuring her story, Alex watched from his seat. For the first time all evening, he wasn't thinking about Victoria or Jake or proving anything to anyone. He was just watching Maya shine, and realizing that somewhere between their desperate bargain in a coffee shop and this magical evening, his fake feelings had become surprisingly, complicatedly real. As the evening began winding down, Maya felt like she was living in a dream she never wanted to wake up from. Her small clutch purse was stuffed with business cards from gallery owners, collectors, and journalists. 3 different people had asked to commission pieces, and James Morrison, the documentary filmmaker, had already scheduled a meeting for next week. "I need some air," Maya told Alex, feeling overwhelmed by everything that had happened. "This has been incredible, but I think my brain is about to explode." Alex smiled and stood up. "The hotel has a rooftop garden. Want to check it out?" They took the elevator to the 23rd floor, emerging onto a beautiful terrace decorated with twinkling lights and flowering plants. The city stretched out below them, a glittering carpet of lights that made Maya feel like she was on top of the world. "I can't believe tonight actually happened," Maya said, leaning against the stone railing. 6 hours ago, I was just a struggling artist who couldn't pay her rent. Now I have a solo show at one of the most prestigious galleries in the city." "You earned every bit of it," Alex said, joining her at the railing. "The way you handled yourself tonight, the speech you gave, the painting you created, that was all you." "Maya, that had nothing to do with our arrangement." Maya turned to look at him, and for the first time all evening, she let herself really think about what their arrangement meant. "Alex, about our deal, what about it?" Maya took a deep breath. "I can't accept any of the opportunities that came tonight." Alex stared at her in shock. "What? Why not?" "Maya, this is your big break. This is everything you've been working toward." "But it's not real," Maya said, her voice heavy with regret. "These people think I'm your girlfriend. They think we have this amazing love story. Helen Whitmore, James Morrison, all of them. They're offering me opportunities based on a lie." "That's ridiculous. They're offering you opportunities because you're talented." "Maybe, but the connections happened because of you. Because I was on your arm tonight. Because I seemed like someone who belonged in your world. If I take these offers, I'll always wonder if I earned them, or if I just got them because I was playing a part." Alex ran his hands through his hair, clearly frustrated. "Maya, you're overthinking this. You painted that piece with your own hands. You gave that speech with your own words. Nobody helped you do that. But I never would have been on that stage if not for our fake relationship. Don't you see? Everything tonight was built on a lie." They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of her words hanging between them. Maya felt tears pricking her eyes, but she blinked them back. She'd made her decision, even though it was breaking her heart. "There's something else," Maya said quietly. "I think we should end this arrangement tonight. After what happened with Jake, people are going to be watching us. If we keep pretending to date, it's just going to get more complicated." Alex was quiet for a long time, staring out at the city lights. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft and uncertain. "What if it wasn't pretending?" Maya's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" "I mean, what if we didn't have to fake it anymore? What if we tried being together for real?" Maya closed her eyes, fighting against the hope that was blooming in her chest. "Alex, you hired me because you needed to make your ex-girlfriend jealous. That's not exactly the foundation for a healthy relationship. You're right, that's how it started. But Maya, somewhere during these past 2 days, something changed. Watching you tonight, seeing how you handled every challenge with such grace and strength, I realized I wasn't pretending anymore." Maya turned to face him fully, searching his face for any sign that he was just caught up in the excitement of the evening. "You barely know me. I know you're brave enough to volunteer to paint in front of 300 strangers. I know you're kind enough to defend me even when someone insults you. I know you're selfless enough to turn down amazing opportunities because you think they might not be completely fair. I know you make me laugh even when I'm stressed, and you make me want to be a better person." Maya felt her resolve wavering. "Alex, I know this is crazy," Alex continued, stepping closer. "I know we met under weird circumstances, and I know our timeline doesn't make sense. But Maya, I haven't felt this way about anyone in years. Maybe ever." Before Maya could respond, they heard the elevator doors open behind them. Victoria stepped out onto the terrace, her white gown flowing behind her like she was in some kind of dramatic movie scene. "Well, well," Victoria said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "The happy couple having a private moment?" Maya and Alex stepped apart, both surprised by Victoria's sudden appearance. "Victoria, what are you doing up here?" Alex asked. "I was looking for you, actually. I wanted to have a private conversation." Victoria's eyes glittered with something that looked like malice. "You see, I know exactly what this little charade is really about." Maya felt her stomach drop. "What are you talking about?" Victoria smiled, but it wasn't a nice smile. "Jake did some digging after your little performance downstairs. Turns out someone matching Maya's description was seen at Joe's Corner Cafe yesterday morning, looking quite upset. And then mysteriously, Alex shows up at the same cafe." Alex stepped forward, his voice warning. "Victoria, whatever you think you know." "I know that you hired her," Victoria said triumphantly. "I know this whole relationship is fake, designed to make me jealous or prove some point. Honestly, Alex, it's rather pathetic even for you." Maya felt like the world was crumbling around her. All those people downstairs, all those opportunities, all of it would be ruined if Victoria exposed their arrangement. "Even if that were true," Maya said, finding her voice. "What exactly are you planning to do about it?" Victoria tilted her head, considering. "Well, I suppose that depends on how reasonable you're willing to be. Alex, I think you and I should have a conversation about getting back together. We were good together once, and we could be again." Alex stared at Victoria like she'd grown a second head. "Are you serious right now? You left me for my best friend." "A mistake," Victoria said with a wave of her hand. "Jake was never really what I wanted. He was just convenient at the time. But seeing you tonight, seeing how successful you've become, I realize we belong together." Maya watched this exchange with growing amazement. Victoria was actually trying to blackmail Alex into getting back together with her. The woman's arrogance was breathtaking. "Let me make sure I understand this correctly," Maya said, stepping forward. "You're threatening to expose our arrangement unless Alex agrees to date you again?" "Smart girl," Victoria said approvingly. Maya looked at Alex, then back at Victoria, and suddenly started laughing. It started as a small chuckle but quickly grew into full, genuine laughter. "Maya?" Alex said, looking concerned. "Are you okay?" "I'm perfect," Maya said, wiping tears from her eyes. "Victoria, go ahead and tell everyone downstairs that Alex hired me. Tell them our whole story." Victoria looked confused. "You're calling my bluff?" "I'm not calling anything. I'm telling you to do it. Tell everyone that a successful CEO was so desperate to avoid being pitied that he hired a struggling artist to pretend to be his girlfriend. Tell them that artist was so talented and charming that she accidentally stole the show and impressed everyone in the room. Tell them that by the end of the night, that CEO realized he'd fallen for her for real, and she was brave enough to turn down opportunities because she valued honesty over advancement." Victoria's confident smile began to falter. "Because here's the thing. Victoria," Maya continued, her voice growing stronger with each word, "if you tell that story, you know what people are going to think? They're going to think it's the most romantic thing they've ever heard. They're going to think Alex is a man who recognizes real worth when he sees it, and I'm a woman with integrity who chose love over ambition." Alex stared at Maya with wonder. "Maya? And you know what else they'll think? They'll think you're a bitter ex-girlfriend who couldn't handle seeing her former fiancé happy with someone better than her." Victoria's face had gone pale with rage. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." "Actually, I do," Maya said calmly. "You're someone who thinks people can be bought or threatened into loving you. You're someone who mistakes expensive things for real value. And you're someone who's about to learn that the best things in life can't be stolen or manipulated. They have to be earned." Victoria stood there for a moment, clearly realizing her plan had backfired completely. Finally, she turned on her heel and stalked back to the elevator without another word. Maya and Alex stood in silence until they heard the elevator doors close. Then Alex turned to her, his eyes shining. "That was incredible," he said. "Maya, you're incredible." "I meant what I said," Maya told him. "About all of it. About the opportunities, about us, about everything." "So did I," Alex said, stepping closer. "Maya, I know we started this as a business deal, but I don't want it to end that way. I want to take you on real dates, meet your grandmother, see your art studio, learn everything about you. I want to build something real together." Maya looked into his eyes and saw nothing but sincerity and hope. "What if we mess it up? What if we're better as fake boyfriend and girlfriend than real ones?" Alex smiled and reached for her hands. Then we'll figure it out together. But Maya, I'd rather fail at something real with